One game down, 4 to go. A lot of pressures on the line, especially for duos like Vexi and Purchawa. They've been performing so well, Jacob. Back-to-back, well, 2 second-place finishes in day 1, a 3rd-place finish starting off day 2 in the uppers. You know that they won it more than anyone.
Yeah, so many teams have felt the pain of not just 2nd place, but getting so close into that top 5 numerous times. But Spinaldo misses the first floor loop. Back-to-back at bat, and he's going to be the first one taken down by Analyx and Sato. His teammate tries to trade off some shots, but it almost feels like it's too little too late now that they have the 2v1 achieved.
Quick way to finish it off in the early game here. 1 elimination on the board now with the player advantage. As long as they keep their cool, they should be able to come out on top here. But in these scenarios, when their opponent starts running away like this, it gets to a point where it's not really worth it to continue chasing, especially if they have a good amount of mobility items, as you don't want to mess up that efficiency from your loot path right off the start. But, you know, as it looks like the opponent's taking a break, it's turned into a 1 versus 1. He lost the player advantage here. Makes it a bit more dangerous, but hopefully it's enough to finish it off.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of playing so defensively, even popping some shots back, but Analyx sees the opening of the door. Doesn't let that one go through. Sato's on the other side. He saw him there and thought that was a perfect opportunity for a 2v1, but Analyx immediately shuts that down. But 3 shots left in the hammer. Only a couple left in the burst SMG, but it doesn't matter. Sato returns to the fight and ends it that quick.
Was close, but good way. Now, focus up, continue with your loop path, and keep it going.
This is what you were talking about, though. They've traveled so far from their initial drop where it is going to disrupt their loop path. But it does open up some stuff that may not necessarily grab of the pass, and kind of opens up other teams that opportunity to try to steal away that loot. But you can see where they have their eyes on, continue to move towards south, backtrack in their steps, and get the loot that they once lost.
Taking a look at Vexi now. We've talked a lot about this duo, but how do they do it? 0 elims on the board. Now that I think about it, I don't think they were originally contested today, but in the last match, they were. They had a duo here right off the start, but it looks like now, once again, north side of Classy here is back to their name. But for Sky and Scroll, they are in a different situation as the danger is on.
Yeah, just dropped down to very little HP by Edit Course and Vortexia. But they don't have too many heals on their side, but he finds at least 1 mini, but still 1 well-placed shot will take him down. Finally has a chance to reunite with Edit Course, but still gotta wonder, what is the utility? What are the resources like for them to continue this fight if they try, or even if Sky and Scroll want to continue to push forward and get these eliminations?
Grapple Blade being used now as the disengagement comes through. Sometimes you can realize pretty quickly if a fight is going to be worth it or not. And sometimes maybe you just want to take a little second to breathe. A chance to focus up and replan your strategy to continue forwards.
Yep, you got to remember, because Yanis and Flixie just qualified out of Reckless Railways. It opens up a spot here. You can see immediately disengaging. Instead of just running away, they're going after the boss, but it leaves them open to shots yet again. Maybe a little ill-advised, maybe just a little too greedy going for that one. But you see Sky on a whole nother angle, slowly but surely pushing in that direction, knowing that they cannot take it for free. That's going to be the biggest thing. But Scroll, his shield's gone just like that. He might have taken too much damage, which gives that moment of opportunity as long as they realize it.
Switching back over to a party that we weren't invited to. 2, 3, what is that? Almost 4 duos in the surrounding area. But it's going to be Misha and Tini, who are crouched up in a box, letting the action unfold, waiting for their opportunity to strike. It's Blaha and Yapko, though, who are in the front of the pack, taking the shots, going for the wall replaces. But so far, nothing too critical has happened.
This is just another one of those forecast towers. People and teams are starting to realize more and more how easy the game becomes. Once you're able to kind of see the zones, Blaha getting pushed down, but he's still holding onto the pieces. Walks on the other side. Has to be careful because he's the one that's directly in the box. Vexi can't build a floor here because of the forecast tower. And you see him trying to go around any nook, any cranny he can go ahead and try to steal that piece back. He's going to take it.
You can see now second zone has popped. It seems to have popped pretty far, and they are quite west on the map currently. So clock's ticking. There's a lot of duos in the surrounding area for potential third parties. It's looking, honestly, like a situation that none of these duos want to be in, but the issue is the ones that are deep into it almost can't really escape yet. But when you hit those shots like Blaha, it opens up the opportunities to continue applying pressure forwards and even trying to finish off at least a knock or an elimination. But 55 seconds on the clock till the zone starts closing. That's the time limit. This forecast tower, you can see how important it is for a lot of these duos.
Uh-oh. This could be the moment right now with one team disengaging. Misha and Teeny, they're right above. I don't think they're going to be able to stop this one from going through, but these are the type of strategies that they wait for. Sneak, hide in the cone, wait for somebody to cross your path, and then you strike all at once, and they are so patient. They're just hoping this pays off for them in the end because the zone has pulled far away from them. So all the time that they took to be in this position, hopefully it's not a waste.
I mean, with what you get from a forecast tower, it's certainly not a waste if you're on the winning side of it. Speaking about forecast towers, speaking about engagements that we see again and again, Pink and Vico back at it. This time, though, they are not outside of zone. They have a bit more freedom, but it's only freedom in terms of the zone, not freedom in terms of how many materials and loot and consumables that's going to be used up from stalling out these engagements.
You see, just nobody really wanted to make too much of a move. But this is stalled out for so long, and I do believe Kiddo and Kiro were the ones actually able to grab the tower here in this game. And immediately, there's nothing left to fight for. It's not worth the risk to stay. Pink and Vico disengage on out. But those are some great shots coming from the distance. Not every day you see the 4X on the Enforcer. But sometimes you kind of just pick up that floor loot. And you got to use what you got. And they're actually using it pretty good to gather a couple of shots for Storm Surge.
Feeling a bit chilly as we head up north to the snowy mountains. Snazy put aside 2 elims on the board, but you can see a lot of the duos that were in the surrounding area here have already started to rotate towards zone, and it's going to be them who stayed here, continuing to farm up now and find their clean escape back into the zone.
Yep, one of the fan favorites at the Global Championship. French crowd went absolutely insane for them every single time they popped up. Same thing here for Cammy and Seti. Second place at the Global Championship. A rough day yesterday, but they picked it up as the day went on. Just trying to hoping to replicate the end of day success here in the beginning. Cammy had a close call in that last game. He went down with all the heals. Seti tried to save it, but unfortunately it was just too little too late, and now they have a team in their line of sight. Depending on their surge, I can see their plan, not necessarily to engage in a full fight, but just to get a couple shots. You know, they're one of the passive teams we have here in the EU FNCS, and let those eliminations come to them as the game naturally progresses.
They had a rough last match.
Oh, wow.
Oof. That was scary. If that was a headshot, that would have been very bad for Cammy and Seti. You can see the instant disengagement as they run right back to a shieldfish that was left over previously. What I was mentioning is in the last match, they ended up going down with a lot of materials and loot still in their inventory. So, you know, they might want to focus up here on this next game. But for Teeny and Misha in Fencing Fields, another incredibly popular location with a lot of duos in the surrounding area. But disengagement's going to come through as well.
Playing a game of like musical chairs with their positioning. Gotta imagine the early fight. Pink and Vico has to have netted at least some Storm Surge. Them again trying to sneak up on yet another couple of teams for that Storm Surge before they disengage and continue moving forward. And this is kind of the stage of the game. The weapon caches are beginning to come out, and you're seeing a lot of teams begin to stagger and even kind of fight for it. But other teams, as you're seeing here, they're not engaging in this fight because they're just waiting for the scrap that Smokey and Wheat will eventually be behind.
kind of zooming in at the wall, maybe try to find what's happening through the cracks of the brick, see if they can get a sneak peek of the duo that's in there. Shamoki Wheat, who secured the combat cache, but their opponents in the surrounding area are still interested. They say, is there a bit of, leftover loot? Is there an option for us to take a shot? They already have their builds placed. They don't want to use more materials just to move a little bit. They are still in zone. And with 1:25 until fourth even appears, they have quite a lot of time to burn here.
Yeah, the only question for teams that are staggering themselves like this in the position is Storm Surge. Do they have enough? It wasn't until about Zone 6 in most of our games yesterday and even today that Storm Surge was really active and forcing these teams to fight. So they have a couple more zones if it does continue in that trend to find some shots for Storm Surge, so that way they're not forced in just a bad spot that we saw in game 1 where you kind of have to push into a team whether you want to or not, and then it's almost a coin toss from there.
Yeah, I think Shamoki Wheat are going to disengage and kind of follow the path that Pixie and Walks were doing around the less congested side of zone. Now that they have what they need. For Taste and Veno, though, already up north. This is good for them. As the zone did pull up north, there's going to be a lot of duos from the south rotating in. So they're going to be more around Reckless Railways, Ruined Reels, that side of the map. So for Taste and Veno, in terms of safety and positioning, it's looking good. But in terms of damage, it's what they need. And it's exactly what they know as they're taking shots at the players that are around here.
You can see as soon as those shots land, Veno goes right back onto that high ground. He's just trying to get information. That was Pink and Vico that took the brunt of that damage from Tayson. Almost a blessing that they don't get pushed by Veno and Tayson, because that's a fight that a team like this normally would look to finish, but with the stakes on the line, you see everybody playing just a little bit more passive than usual.
I think that's Pink without any shields. He is recuperating HP, though. Might have got hit by a sniper or something to crack him, as now you can see Veno and Tayson staying on the elevated location to open up those angles. But luckily enough, there is that combat cache there, which was secured, giving them those extra shields, HP, to heal right back up and still have it in the inventory as well. There's not too many duos in the surrounding area, but they have a lot of options to kind of continue taking shots at each other and continue taking that damage that's going to be so heavily leaded further on in the match.
Uh-oh, I saw Marius and Sandguild slowly but surely sneaking in, crouching, but there's also a whole nother team on the south of Grand Glacier that they have to potentially watch out for. And I think he hears Tayson running around. He's giving up that communication and information on over to his teammate. That's going to be the first shot. 50 shield almost gone just like that right off of Tayson. And you can almost see why. They have no heals on the back of Marius at the very minimum. So they're just fighting for scraps. Anything that they can see that is left behind, unless it ends up in a full-on engagement.
That's a crazy stat. Sangil Marius finished 5th, 6th, and 5th in 4 of the 5 games yesterday in the upper bracket. So you know they've had a little taste of what qualifying directly to the grand finals can feel like in this winner-takes-all format. And now starting off with 2 eliminations. They're pretty good on damage, but I would like to see a bit more shield, a bit more medkits. But for this part of the match, it's not bad at all.
Marius just hunting inside of the building. Here's the grapple blade. Tries to fire some shots, but it's just not enough. But the attempt was made. Found something. Just like Topco. Finds the medkit, able to heal up on top of Rift Island. See him drop it down. You got to imagine his teammate's reboot card has to be somewhere nearby, and immediately grabs it, goes for the Rift. But interestingly enough, this loot island doesn't have a reboot van up there, but Pink and Vico, they end up in an exchange. But you can see how many teams. We were just on this side of the map moments ago. This is probably one of the more congested sides of the map currently. While everybody else continues to move in, you can see an opportunity to break through the top of the box. Pink and Vico don't find any success, and now they're just taking damage to the Storm. 1 tick at a time, and they have the floppers to heal up. But Vico had Storm sickness last game. You don't want to let that happen again, so you got to end this fight quick before it becomes a possibility, especially with Pink going down. That puts Vico on the back foot. This is one of those fights to where you didn't expect it to happen, but now it did. Now what are you going to do?
All we did was blink, and it turned from nothing to everything. Now in the 1 versus 2, Vico decides it's not worth it. I've lost my teammate. There's a duo still fighting. There's more solos in the surrounding area. The third parties, the fourth parties. What has gone wrong is now Vico is going to have to spend the time outside of the zone. He has the floppers to take it, but it's going to be incredibly difficult to pick up Pink. But if I learned anything from yesterday, 3 reboots from Malabuka, still ending up with a victory royale, 11 eliminations. Anything is possible, Jacob. And Vico is definitely a player that can make it happen.
I'm here for back-to-back history-making days in the FNCS for EU. You know, feeling like, you know, flashbacks of the Go Vico Go days not too long ago in third-party solo competition. Nebs and iDrop. Not in the zone, or at least not Nebs, but he's just trying to see if anybody is staggering themselves to the backside of the zone. They want to make sure to keep the clear part of zone behind them as clear as possible. And if anybody does sneak up on, they want to just be prepared for that occasion.
5 seconds until 6th zone appears. Once again, getting closer and closer to that 8th zone. So you really want to think about your positioning here and where you can box yourself up to give you the most efficient rotate later on. But it all depends on a number of factors: your damage, your loot, your materials, your current position, and what your game plan is. In these zones, in the mountainous areas where there's so many changes in elevation and possible moving zones that disrupt the late game, you really have to plan ahead.
I think that's what Wox and Pixie are trying to do. They know they need some surge. They know they need the shots, but they also need some farm, some materials. As Vico sneaks up on a whole nother player, has to be careful because it's actually a full duo here and then a third party that's disengaging. Nice shot to come out. Great opportunity for Vico to pick up some surge now that his teammate is down. First one's going to get dropped. He knows at least one more is there. He has to be careful. Stayed too long. You don't have the HP to overstay your welcome in a situation like this, and I think he knows just that, and he immediately tries to disengage and find a better position in towards the zone, but he gets spotted out. I think a couple teams around him know that he is a solo.
Oh, skiing through the mountain, but he's in a pothole now. All these duos taking shots. He's stuck. Can you get out, Vico? 4 builds to work with. 3. Oh, no.
There's almost no reason to give up. You have to know he's nearby, and he didn't disengage, but persistence is going to be the key here for them. They have to be careful with the attachment. He goes further back, getting pressured once more. Builds are running out. Vico goes down to Heine. And again, the struggles for yesterday continue for Pink and Vico, but 3 med kits for Noya and Heine. Another elimination, but the focus right below him on the side of the mountain. That's what's going to be the annoyance.
You can see now all the players who are more on the west, southwest side of this zone are trying to get as north as possible to be on those higher elevated locations. For Mixon and Ping, though, they've just picked up a nice little refresh. Now with 4 on the board, 321, bumped up to 619 damage above the Storm Surge threshold. Now all that's left is that rotation into the zone. And it's not going to be an easy one with the players based up, but hopefully if they make good use of the mobility items, the grapple blade, it should be more than enough.
Especially knowing that the zone had just opened up, but Nevs just kind of gets edited down, drops into the box, gets dropped altogether. And you can see iDrop making the conscientious decision. There's no use being a hero here. And he has the experience. He has won a game just to make it to the upper bracket during the weekly qualifiers as a solo from early on. He ended up taking that game to earn his right to be here. So anything is definitely possible when it comes to iDrop.
35 below. He's going to want to take shots, but the focus here should be just make it to zone and then get your damage. 4 above. Misha and Tini, I want you to group up here, get in the same box. There it is. Now, there is players taking shots. They can use that as an opportunity to trade some damage. But you got to be careful, because if you get cracked, the focus is on you.
Yeah, a lot of that Flowberry Fizz was just kind of using it to top themselves up, and now Storm Surge is taking a lot of their patient play. This is exactly what happens when you're a little too patient, but Fury's on the other side of that box. Misha's gonna waste no time getting in along with Teeny, and that gets them above the damage threshold. It's not a ton, but at least it's something, and they get the Mythic Striker for their efforts. That is definitely a huge win for Teeny and Misha.
I love this, the positioning, the loot, the damage. Still only 55 above though. One quick Reaper sniper rifle is shot. Could be enough, but at the same time, they're not fully inside of the zone yet. The issue is with Storm Surge picking, everybody is looking for damage right now. You peek too much, and it could be the end.
Oh man, Storm Surge just now went up for Pablo and Bevies. He found shots the side of his build. That was almost a nightmare. Pablo would have been taken out. Bevies would have been stuck by himself. And now they have a second chance, but once again, they fall below the damage threshold. A lot of their heals are being used just to get up to 200 shield and HP, so they're going to be forced here to try to look for some shots, but luckily the zone is going down the mountain, so opportunity after opportunity will be there.
Making their way on in. Sniper rifle in hand. Moments like these are the ones that make or break a game, and for Bevies, it might have just been broken as he's been taken out. Pablo now left as a solo. He does have a chance, though, to pick Bevies back up.
Got to return the favor, but it does look like Seti and Cammy momentarily were running in that direction. Cammy going up the mountain, just trying to get the loot that did fall down. They're just gathering scraps, and now shots coming in from different directions. They know somebody is reviving or healing in this direction, and luckily Pablo and Bevies have a combination of minis and medkits. It's not going to get them to 200 Takata, but it's definitely going to get them healthy enough for this next rotation.
Issue is, 8th zone has appeared. It's going right back up the mountains. The change in elevation is going to make it that much more difficult for these players to rotate who are down below. And at the meantime, you have players like Bevies and Pablo who not only want to focus on a rotation or even just a change in elevation, but also have to get that damage done as shields run low, medkits run low, and the clock keeps ticking. The stress levels keep rising.
I was thinking this a moment ago. I saw Tayson, no Veno in sight. Last time we saw them, it was another team, and they were just getting hurt on the low ground. Storm Surge finally ticking in. Pablo needs this med kit. Oh, just a few seconds shy of going down and getting eliminated. Bevies tries to find the shots, but he gets chopped down altogether. There's not enough heals to go around, so Pablo's going to have to do this one as a solo, and that's the Polish powerhouses on the low ground. They clean up that elimination. They were the ones who originally stole the scraps from that early fight as well. They're doing everything to rob Bevies and Pablo from their loot and from their position here.
Can he do it? Was 3 above momentarily, but right back to 105 below the Storm Surge threshold. 21 HP to work with. Can survive. Just a sliver of HP as he climbs up the mountain. All the bullets flying, raining down from above. It's CZB in front. 200 effective HP. It's not going to be the engagement that Pablo wants to take here.
That was some decent shots, but it's just not enough. He fell too far down below the threshold. And finally, Storm Surge ticks again. He goes down and out. And those are the mistakes right there from Pablo and Bevy. You're going to remember that going into the next couple games, and it's going to change your game plan and how you get Surge. I did see in the feed that Tayson did pick up elimination onto Fishy, and a huge sneak attack just like that is how he was able to find the first. Unfortunately enough, don't know what happened with the second, but we know Tayson was able to stay alive.
The second's gone. 1 elim for Tayson. It looks like the disengagement came through after that first elimination. But now, 9th zone, first moving, has commenced. 35 seconds on the clock as Tayson makes use of that grapple blade to stay ahead.
Yep, doing a good job here as a solo. 1 med kit, drops down onto another team, but he's just trying to get nearby, make himself look bigger than he actually is, so it's harder to push. And that player that he was chasing, you see him trickle down the side of his box, so a couple of solos running around here. Tayson is just find the easiest path to one of these enemies. Vortexia is the one, but he barely gets out and escapes the grasp of Tayson. I'm not sure he knows how lucky he just got.
There's a lot of times where you want to stay ahead of the zone, but in situations like this where there's the potential for it to pull right back up the mountain, you almost want to stay on the far end at the back and be prepared to go straight up again as it's pulled north.
You see Cammy and Seti doing barely enough to keep themselves ahead in this game, recycling builds, using the Flowberry Fizz, dropping all the way down to a nice mid layer, not ultimate low by any means. Mixing and pings, this is going to be the tricky part. How are they going to maneuver this? Do they try to trickle down with a waterfall? Because any team can look up. There's only a few layers protecting them, but as long as they put this pressure down, there won't be too much of a chance for anybody to look up.
Almost looking like a sky base with the amount of elevation the teams in the clouds have. What a Snazy. Good layer here, but it opens up the potential for the players above to take shots, and that's exactly what's happening. It's the issue with being second height. Do you take shots back? Do you look for a sniper shot? Or do you turn into Cammy and start fragging out here? 2 on the board, 3 for the duo. But Cammy gets dropped.
Oh, that's again, Cammy goes down. 3 medkits in the flopper. Seti's nowhere to save the day this time, and he cannot pass him like he did in that last game. That puts a whole world of pressure on Seti's shoulders, knowing not only is he solo, but the win condition went out the window.
Snazy put aside, healing up, making sure they will have that boost in mobility as they continue to rotate forwards, now dropping layers. They saw the cons of being second height, but you gotta be careful where you drop. Another duo knocking on Snazy's door. Hello, it's me. And there it is, knocked down. Now put aside, left as a solo.
As Purchawa and Vexi, they're trying to get revenge on the day yesterday, and even in game one where they placed in the top 3. Chap and Khan 4 eliminations so far, but no real shield, so they're really relying on that medallion to give them as much shield as possible as they continue the rotations. But high ground changes hands. No more ping and mixing. It's now Chap and Khan. They're in prime position to hold on to it as another player gets dropped down low on the low ground, and it's just a huge amount of destruction going on down there.
Hey, mixing though, they want the clouds, they want the sky. It's Purchawa though, who's the king on the throne. As Chap gets taken out, Vexi is still up. Can they do it? They've been waiting game after game, second place after second place, third place in the last one. All they need is the victory royale.
And there's still a couple of solos running around that could disrupt everything. Even Khan going down low, trying to play disruptor. Could be a little too early. Ping's trying to follow up. Doesn't get the shot that he wanted, but they're still playing aggressive on the Shimoki. He's going to get dropped. Now it's all up to Wheat here for that team.
Ping now, trying to break through the builds, trying to find any opportunity to continue forwards. No med kits on his loadout though, and it could come down to a heal off. He takes a shot at Wheat. He's unable to connect it. Wheat now coming out on top, 25 HP to work with, and Purchawa is left to finish it off.
Enough second places, enough top 3s, 5 eliminations, and finally the victory going on over to a team that has put everything on the line, laid it all on the table. Purchawa and Vexi, congratulations. I'll see you next weekend in the FNCS Finals.
They've done it, Jacob. 2 second place finishes, 1 third place in the first game of the day, and they turned that pressure into motivation as they secure the victory royale in game 2.
Hey, if they're looking this good, if they can continue this success, grand finals, you better watch out, because they're looking like a threat to the lobby, taking down multiple teams along their path. They even said Wheat was a solo for so long, and Purchawa and Vexi, they stole high ground at the perfect moment, and it was almost smooth sailing from them because nobody was able to look up.
Look, that's an insane match history. You said it yourself, Jacob. For grand finals, even if you get back-to-back second places, a third place, and the VR on top of it, imagine how many points that could sum up to.
Yep, but with that, we have 2 game winners. 2 teams we already know are going to the grand finals. Let's check the leaderboards with only 3 games left.